Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're just waiting for all the different streams to be active, and then we'll be starting up here in just a minute.
Are you praying?
Last heard from you, but I'm
Really?
Here, there's
This is
darkness.
amazing.
Not
Please,
too
please,
small.
I love it.
Please.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to tonight's very special penultimate The Shift live stream. I am going to be joined by a very, very special guest tonight. Dallas Jenkins, the creator of The Chosen and the executive producer of The Shift, is going to be joining me here live in just a few minutes. And before he gets here, let's watch something real fast. I want to show you what Dallas has to say about The Shift, a little bit of pre-Dallas before we get the real one. Let's check this out.
Hey there, I'm Dallas Jenkins. I'm the creator of The Chosen, and I wanted to share with you a little bit of why I have actually signed on to be one of the executive producers of The Shift. I remember when I first saw the short film, The Shift, it was probably a couple years ago, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't know who this person is who made this, and I had heard that they did it for no money, but I'm really impressed, and I believe that this guy has a future. And I wanted to see more. I wanted to see where the shift turned out. I wanted to see how it could be expanded upon. I wanted to see what Brock could do with an actual budget. So the shift now has a relatively small budget. They're really keeping the budget low, and that's one of the things I'm trying to do is help them maximize the budget that they do have and making sure that every penny that we spend is spent in the best and most efficient way possible, which is one of the things that I hope, if you've seen The Chosen, you've realized we did there too, was we didn't have Hollywood money, but we had enough to make something special. And I think that's what Brock has now. I think he's going to get, and I hope you can help him get enough to make something special. And I think the message of the shift and the future of the shift is so important. And almost as important as any of that is Brock Heasley. He didn't ask me to say this, I promise. But I can tell you, I've seen his work on a writing side. I've seen it on the directing side. And in my 20 years in the business, there are very few people who I've thought, I want to pour into this person because I think that this person has the chance to be an impactful and disruptive and important storyteller in this business. And that is Brock. Brock is someone who, when I read what he's writing, I'm connected to it. And I want to see more, and I want to be part of it. And it reaches me on both an intellectual level and an emotional level. And if you've seen The Chosen, maybe that's what you've appreciated about it as well, is that it's not just pure emotion. It's emotion that has some thought behind it, but it's also not pure intellect. It's intellect that has some heart behind it. And all of that is, there's kind of an umbrella over all of it of a spiritual importance. Something is being said about our universe and who created it.
Nothing. That I may be worthy tomorrow.
I am greater than God.
Jesus
I am
Christ.
greater than
And that's what The Shift is about. That's what The Chosen is about. It's one of the reasons why I've signed on board, and I hope you can get involved as well to be part of the beginning of what I believe is an important project and who I believe is an important filmmaker.
Hey, this is Brock. If you want to see more quality, faith-based productions with the potential to reach bigger audiences, I hope you'll partner with us by backing the project at angelstudios.com/The Shift.
Okay, so if you're new to the live streams tonight, I think it's important for you to know that it is a tradition, not intentional, that I forget to unmute myself. So that is out of the way. We are done with that. I I see no more technical difficulties for the rest of tonight. So I apologize. Um, we are back now, though. Dallas is coming up. You just heard him talk on that video. I'll be honest, I did ask him to, say a few words on video about the shift, but I did not tell him what to say. I don't think anybody tells Dallas what to say. But what he said and about the film and about me, I was very unexpected and really touched me. And it's made a huge difference. Just his confidence and faith in this project has made a huge difference for me and a huge difference for everybody who's working on this project. Um, we just today hit $600,000 in investment, which just blows my mind. It is so exciting. We're seeing new people come to this film every single day in droves, quite honestly. And I'm so grateful to somebody like Dallas who got on board with us many, many months ago, before it was all that it is now. And because he has the faith in this project, because he believes in it. He's going to tell us more about that when he comes on in just a minute. Would love to get this stream out there. If you're watching, please feel free to share this. Bring people to the party, especially if they don't know about the shift and they want to know. And if you don't know about the shift and you're watching this for the first time, seeing me for the first time and wondering who in the world I am, be sure and ask questions. Ask a question. We'll answer it live if we can. Especially once Dallas has come on, I welcome your questions. You can also, as you can see, you can invest now at angelstudios.com/the shift. And anybody who invests tonight, we would love to shout you out. As you can see, we can see right there on the screen any investments that come in. We're very, very excited to have you partner with us, and we would love to shout out your name. So thank you, Kathy from Texas, who just partnered with us for $501. Earlier, we had Floyd from Idaho, who invested for $1,002, which is amazing. Thank you, Floyd, and thank you, Kathy. Um, I wonder what we can do this evening. I wonder if we can get to a certain number. What are we at right now? Let's check in real quick while we're waiting on Dallas. Let's check in on where we're at. We have 1,486 investors with $601,846 currently invested. I wonder if we can get up to $605,000. $605,000 if that's possible. Would love to see that happen. Let's make that a goal for tonight. We are at a critical stage right now with the investment. Tomorrow is the very, very last day. So if you're just coming to this and you have no idea what this is, you have one day to figure out what this is and to join us. Midnight tomorrow night, it's over. These are very strict rules that we're having to obey. And so we cannot take any more investment past midnight tomorrow night. So we encourage you to go to angelstudios.com/the shift and investigate, see what we're all about. We have a number of videos on there, including the full short film. You can watch it. And also, we have the entire script for the feature film. The entire script. You can actually read what happens to Kevin after he walks out the door. If you haven't seen the short, that's not a huge spoiler, but he walks out the door. Where does he go? You can actually find out right now by reading the full feature film script. That is going to be available through tomorrow night. We want you to have confidence in your investment. And what we have seen is that when people read the script for the feature film, all of a sudden they want to do even more. They are way more committed after reading the script than they are even after having seen the short film. I've even heard from people who came in and said they doubled their investment. They doubled their investment because they read the script and they now know and they understand what this film can be. And I want to show you real quick a video. These are just some of the reactions that we've gotten to those who have read the full feature film script. Now, and I want to prepare you, there are no spoilers here. So you can watch this and not worry if you're somebody you're like, oh, I don't want to read that script. I want to experience that in a theater. First of all, I love you because that is the way that this film is supposed to be experienced. And second of all, this video is not going to ruin anything for you. So check this out real quick. These are reactions to the feature film script for The Shift.
There's times in stories that you'll read something or you'll watch something, you'll be engaged with something and you'll be like, okay, this is good. This is entertaining, or this is a sufficient way to spend 2 hours of your life type thing. The Shift, it's made out of magic.
Hi, so I just finished reading the script for The Shift.
I don't think I've ever read 127 pages that quickly.
And I love it.
I got angry when someone interrupted me.
I even skipped some of my work.
Brock did this crazy thing. He did this crazy thing to where he put his script out online, which is crazy. Who does that? That is, I've never heard of that, and I can't really understand it. Anyways, I hope that's a great idea. I think it will be.
Hey, Matthew S. Nelson here. I want to talk to you about Brock Heasley's script for his feature film, The Shift.
Awesome.
The Shift is not just science fiction. It is excellent, profoundly rich and stirring science fiction.
The Shift is basically a love story.
Whether you're a drama, action, sci-fi, no matter what kind of film you enjoy, this film is for you.
The short version, that short movie that we got, you have seen nothing yet.
It goes from there and takes you off a cliff into this crazy adventure that's filled with action and twists and turns and reveals all the way until the very end of the story.
Our lives and our reality are based on all of our choices and how we handle temptation. The Shift makes that quite obvious.
Truth just buried in it like treasures for us to find.
What keeps us looking for ways to help others when we ourselves feel helpless? How can we find the strength and motivation to keep taking up that cross, knowing each step may bring us closer to the place where we will hang from it?
So this will shift perspectives, shift attitudes, and shift a lot of things.
And it is so amazing. Part where he says, deny him one more time. I was like, oh.
Don't judge me, Satan.
The fact that the worldview of the film is robustly Christian makes it even better, because that is not a viewpoint often represented in the genre.
When I heard this was a Christian film, I was very, very skeptical.
The godly message amplified by The Shift is not sugar-coated and not predictable like the typical film of faith.
Everything that could have been cheesy wasn't. It wasn't. Seriously. And that's very good work.
I'm not even a sci-fi fan, but the writing is exceptional, and it hooked me from the very beginning and kept me captivated to the very last word.
It had me on the edge of my seat. It gave me chills.
This script is fantastic.
Brock, you're brilliant.
Brock Heasley, this guy, he has, he's done something magical. The dude's made out of magic.
The pace is almost frantic. The dialogue is smart.
I've never hurt anybody my whole life. No, but you have such potential. You're a halfway decent guy. It's the other half I'm particularly fond of.
The characters are real humans with real-world imperfections.
And the ending was just superb. I love it.
I walked into my house, and my dad was sitting in his chair, and I told him, I'm like, I think this is the most impressive thing I've ever read.
But I want to see it on the big screen in the theater.
Can't wait to see this made into a feature film.
I want to see this as a film today, tomorrow. I mean, right now. I want to watch it right now.
This does well for the religion. This is good PR for Christians, for us.
So thrilled that I'm already invested in it.
I strongly urge you to be a part of getting this film made.
Make it now.
Invest, support, pray, help with this mission.
And I hope that you'll join us.
The dude's made out of magic. That's what I'm telling you.
And of course, I kept myself muted again because this is the night Dallas is on. I'm going to make mistakes. It's just, yeah, that's great. Those were some of the reactions to the Shift feature film script. Oh, I see. I'm getting a message from Dallas here, and he's trying to connect. Okay, he's having trouble. So I may have to show you another video real quick while I troubleshoot with Dallas here. But while we're waiting on that, you can invest now at angelstudios.com/the shift. Please head on over there and see everything that's going on, including the full short film. You can watch it there. I'm going to go duck out here and show you a real quick video. This is a quick video showing you some of the technology that we're going to have access to for the feature film. We recently went to LA and met with some partners that are looking to give us technology for free. This is state-of-the-art stuff. The last Avengers movie didn't even have access to this, but we're going to have access to it for free for this film. I'm going to show you this real quick while I troubleshoot with Dallas. Hopefully we'll come right back with him.
Okay, you're going to have to forgive how dark it is right now. I'm in a parking garage in LA. And I am here in LA to visit a couple of very important people. For the first time, I'm going to meet executive producer Franco Sama in person. Also later this afternoon, I'm going to be visiting with Tom Armbruster, who is the president and CEO of the 209 Group, which is a special effects house here in Los Angeles. I'm going to see the brand new tech that he's got. Very excited to talk with him about our ideas. And more importantly, I'm just really excited to see this tech. This stuff is insane, and I can't wait to see it for myself in person. Meeting with Franco finally was fantastic. He took us on a tour of LA Center Studios where he works, has several sound stages where a number of productions have been hosted over the years, including one of my favorite shows, Mad Men. I never get tired of the environment that movies and TV shows happen in. There's just something that's kind of electric about it. I'm like a kid in a candy store with that kind of stuff. We got to talk about everything that's going on and how good the investment is going already, which he was very excited about, of course. We were able to meet with Tom Armbruster at 209 Group. We were able to see his whole setup. He just last week installed LED walls, which is the same background tech that kind of takes the place mostly of blue screens and green screens and allows you to just put an actor in an environment that looks photoreal, but that actually is not. And the great thing is that these aren't like photographs that you put on the screens. These are 3D renders that are done with a video game engine called Unreal. And that means that the environment can be manipulated. You can change the lighting, you can move a scoreboard from one place to another, you can turn on the fan or turn it off, and you can do all of this digitally. Pretty much anything you can imagine that you can do within this 3D rendered environment. And even when you're standing there with it face to face, it looks 100% real. And of course, it looks even more real in camera. And so getting to check out that space with Tom and hearing him talk about his career and how he came into it and how excited he is for this technology, about how he just met with the Marvel guys last week, and the fact that Tom saw the short film of The Shift and believed in it so much and what we're doing so much that he offered this space and this technology to us to use for free is still a mind-blowing thing for me. Orlando is more of a visual effects guy than I am. I mean, I love visual effects, but Orlando knows visual effects, works in visual effects. He was really taken with it and understood, of course, everything Tom said on a level that I quite frankly did not. And we also had the chance to talk with Tom about some of the sequences that we want to pull off. Thankfully, everything we talked about, everything we want to do, Tom could see clearly how it could be done, and he saw very clearly, as I do, how these spaces, which a couple years ago didn't even exist, are really the best spaces to do these sequences in for The Shift. So we're gonna have some state-of-the-art visual effects, the kind of which a film of our size never really would have access to otherwise. And we're able to do that because of Tom and because he is somebody who believes in what we're doing and wants to support us. That kind of support is how we make this film even better than it would be otherwise. And I'm very, very grateful for that. This was our LA trip. We got so much more to do before this movie's ready to be made, but this was an important day. This was an important day to connect with Tom and connect those dots with Franco as well. It's coming together. That's what I see happening. It's just coming together.
All right, and I am here with Dallas Jenkins. We got him in. Dallas, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Brock. And I'm sorry that I'm in my car. I'm outside my daughter's dance studio. I dropped her off at dance. I'm on dad duty tonight for rides. And but can you hear me and see me okay?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's
Okay,
a good dad. No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, so glad you're able to join us. For those of you that don't know Dallas, which I'm guessing most of you are saying, well, we don't really know you. We know Dallas, but Dallas, of course, is the creator of The Chosen. He has a 20-year career in film and just has done so many great things. The movie What If, the movie The Resurrection of Gavin Stone, several short films. But The Chosen, of course, is just about the biggest thing you've ever done, and just about the biggest thing anybody's ever done. It's an incredible project. And so very grateful that you have, signed on as the executive, as one of our executive producers for The Shift. It's a huge blessing for us and for the project and for me personally. You're deep into season 2 right now with The Chosen. We've seen 3 episodes. There are 5 more coming. I think I have that right for the season. So you're deep in post production. But there's been a lot has happened since the first season came out, and I just want to kick this off with a chosen question before we get into The Shift. And that is just like, what are you seeing like that's surprising to you, or things that you've learned from season 1 to season 2 that you just didn't know, but now season 2 you're able to implement. Just some of what you've learned from before.
Yeah, well, I think every day I become a better filmmaker. At least that's the goal, and I'm sure you feel that way too. So I think when it comes to the depth of character that we're exploring, the cinematography, the production design, all of those things, we learned from season 1 that how to make the most of whatever resources we're given. So on season 1, when we had less money and fewer resources, we were always problem solving, and I think those problem solving skills have been honed more and more each month by month, and that not only goes for me, but that goes for the whole team. So I think that's the biggest thing is, once season 1 is over, you go, all right, how do I become a better filmmaker? How do I, and each cast and crew member are thinking the same thing. How do I become a better actor? How do I become a better worker? Whatever that is. But then there's also things that you have to adjust to just by the very nature of the fact that you're doing a multi-season show. So I think the biggest thing that and I think people are noticing this, is if you look at episodes 1 through 4 of season 1, which were a lot of setup, okay? Like there were only like 2 miracles in the whole first 4 episodes, and Jesus wasn't there a whole lot. Then 5 through 8 was like a greatest hits album, each episode was like a big deal. Well, we can't sustain that. We can't do every episode for the rest of The Chosen, miracle of the week, as I call it. So the first 3 episodes of this season are actually similar to the first 3 episodes of season 1, and that's purposeful. That's us saying we have got to train, and I don't mean this to sound condescending, we've got to train the audience to see this show for what it really is going to be for 7 seasons, which is a mix of big moments and small moments in character development. And what you can't ever forget is that the big moments are big and impactful and life-changing for so many people because of the time we took to develop the characters. And so those moments that sometimes people go, this is not as exciting as season 1. I'm like, well, you must not remember episodes 1 through 4, which had very few big moments. But those moments of the second half of the season were big because of what happened in the first half. And I'm not doing this just because I'm on with you, but I'm going to bring it to The Shift for a second.
Sure.
That's something that you really understand really well. And it's one of the reasons why I've responded so well to your writing, is because you have a sensibility that's similar to mine, which is even in your film and even in your short film, which is your short film is how long? 15 minutes, maybe?
It's 20, but people think
20.
It's 15.
Yeah, because it goes by quickly. But even in that, you take your time. Like there are no doubt people who've watched The Shift who thought it was too long.
Yeah, there have been.
Even though it's only 20 minutes. And I'm sure there's some people who thought it was too short. But the people who probably didn't like The Shift probably were like, yeah, it just feels too long. And I'm like, no, that's what makes it impactful. And that's what makes any good movie impactful, is when you don't skip past the before, the time that it is required to develop the character, to develop the setting, so that when the moment happens, the aha moment happens, it's that much more impactful. And I think that's something we're continually learning and exercising on The Chosen.
Yeah, one of the films that you actually bringing mind to mind for me is Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Of
I've
course.
heard complaints of that movie that like the first three quarters of it is slow and not a lot happens, but that movie will lay you out flat every single time in that third act. But that third act does not work without those first two acts doing all that heavy lifting and all that character work and all the relationship building that just gets destroyed, in that third act, and and,
Well,
and when he gets put through the ringer.
yeah, I just did it. Well, and that's, I think, true of my favorite movie of all time, It's a Wonderful Life, and I think that's true of
That
most
one as well.
Frank Capra movies. Frank Capra is
Hmm.
one of my idols because he doesn't skip over the tough stuff,
Right.
whether you want to call it boring or whether you want to call it slow or whether you want to call it character building. That's what makes his climaxes so extraordinary. Just yesterday, I was doing a radio interview, and someone was talking about how much they love the show, and the host says, "I want to play this my favorite moment in the whole show, which is the end of episode one." So she plays this moment at the end of episode one, which is probably the best moment of the show, which is Jesus redeeming Mary Magdalene. And I
Right.
commented on this. I said, if you haven't seen the show, that moment has the music, the acting, all of that stuff. It's all nice. It's all like,
Hmm.
oh, that's a nice moment. That's clearly a professional production, but you're not going to be emotional. Like you have no connection to it. The reason you have such a strong connection to it is because you saw her be demon possessed, and you saw, Jesus hasn't even shown up yet. And I think by the time people got to that point in the episode, they were like, when is Jesus going to show up? And boy, this is painful to watch. And then they get wrecked because of all that time that we took. And I think that's vital for any, whether it's a show or a movie. You have to be willing to take the time to develop the characters so that the big moments pay off.
Hmm. Yeah. And look, I've worked on projects where the filmmakers or the storytellers decided to cut out those character moments, and
Right.
and suffered greatly for it. And so much smarter to build all that in, and yeah, try your audience's patience a little bit. Put them in the head of the characters. Make the
Yeah.
characters Mary Magdalene is suffering, and to an extent, we suffer along with her, and
Right.
that's why that moment works at the end.
Yeah.
Um, so you're clearly a busy guy, and one of the concerns that we see popping up now and again, as people find out that you're involved in the shift, is why is Dallas involved in the shift when he has got so much to do for the chosen? We all well, nobody really knows how hard you work. I've seen you up close. I know a little bit, but nobody can really comprehend how hard you're actually working and what you're doing to make this show happen. But we all know it's a lot. So why work on the shift when you're tied up with the chosen? And is the chosen going to suffer because you're working on the shift?
Well, it's a fair question, but I think we all know that I'm not going to be doing anywhere close to what I do on the chosen with the shift.
Hmm.
What I'm doing is lending my experience, having done this project chosen outside the system. I'm lending my experience as a filmmaker and as a writer and as a someone who's done this many times. You have the wisdom of any filmmaker, including me, who has mentors or who has people who come
Hmm.
on come on board that you just can run things past. So I'm going to be devoting just a handful of hours a month to uh, giving advice, asking questions, answering questions,
Hmm.
lending my support where I can. And then once you start filming, maybe a little bit more, just
Right.
being a resource that you can reach out to, as someone who can say, look, I've been in this spot that you've been in, Brock, and here's how I dealt with it.
Hmm.
And also connecting you with the right people. For example, the composers of The Shift are the same, are the composers of The Chosen. Um, and I connected you. I think I introduced you to casting director. There's other people that I've had the luxury of getting to know over the years, and saying these people are trustworthy. They're going to
Hmm.
help you. They're going to help to legitimize your project. And that's happened to me throughout my entire career. I've had people who've said, "All right, you need this particular position filled. I know a guy, or I know a girl, or I know someone who's going to be able to be trustworthy," and that's invaluable. So, yeah, I'm not going to be taking time away from the chosen. I don't think you would want that,
No,
because you're a fan of the chosen as well.
I
But
am, and I don't want the hate. So.
right, but Angel Studios, which is the company that connects a lot of these projects and actually connected me to you. Um,
Hmm.
they're an organization that is building multiple projects, And it behooves them and me to learn and for us to become almost like artificial intelligence, where we get smarter every day. And I'm someone who sees the value in seeing a project like yours. And I've had conversations with Daniel Harmon, who's running the Tuttle Twins, another project that Angel is developing. And we've bounced ideas back and forth of each other. And I do that, A, because I believe it's the right thing to do. I want to be helpful where I can. B, even just for purely selfish reasons. It's gonna pay off for The Chosen and for other projects down the road as well. And the more that we can help each other and develop projects together and speak into each other's projects, the better those projects are going to be, and the quicker this is all going to build. And I think that's important for Chosen fans to know, that helping the shift. And I'm sure you would agree with this. If you don't like the shift, if you don't want to be involved, if you saw the short film and it just didn't work for you, then don't be involved. And I say that to people about The Chosen. Like, if you don't have the money, if you don't have the time, if it's not working for you, then don't watch the show and don't pay it forward on The Chosen. But if you did like the short film, and if you do like the shift, and if you do see the potential in Brock that I see as an important storyteller, and with an important story to tell for our world, and then you need to realize that being generous, I wouldn't even use that word because you're looking for investors. So investing in the shift is not only a good investment because the shift is a great project and is going to do well. And it's not only a good investment spiritually because the shift is going to impact people's lives, but it also helps The Chosen. It also helps The Chosen in the sense that it brings in more people. And when The Chosen and the shift and the Tuttle Twins and other projects that Angel Studios is developing, when those projects are speaking to each other and connecting tribes to each other, that produces exponential growth. And so it does not take away from The Chosen at all. It enhances The Chosen. It brings in more people. If the shift is successful, financially, spiritually, audience-wise, whatever, that will help The Chosen because these projects talk to each other. And some of the people who are involved in the shift came there from The Chosen. And that will also happen in reverse. There will be people who come across the shift because they love it, and then we'll hear about The Chosen because it's also from Angel Studios, or because I'm one of the executive producers, or because there's kind of a mutual love fest going on between these projects, and they'll be like, "Oh, I want to check out The Chosen." And so that's the long-term goal that Angel Studios has, and it's one of the things that I'm excited about is that The Chosen is not in a vacuum, and the shift is not in a vacuum. And so, please, if you are intrigued by the shift, not only should you not be scared it's going to detract from The Chosen, you should be excited that it's going to enhance The Chosen and vice versa.
No, that's perfectly well said. I think there's a cultural impact too. That I looked at The Chosen the first time I saw The Chosen, and I thought how sad it would be if The Chosen was an isolated event. If you make The Chosen and it's fantastic and it's doing this new thing, this really really well done thing within Christian storytelling. I think anybody who watches that a show and automatically they think, oh, there's a leveling up that's happening here. And how sad it would be if The Chosen was an isolated incident and nobody was able to follow it up. And I feel like it's incumbent upon us as artists and as storytellers to rise to the level of what you're doing, to carry the ball forward, to keep the conversation going of how can we make something that competes with the best of what Hollywood has to offer. And I know that that's one of the goals that Angel Studios has, and the Chosen is perfectly emblematic of that goal. And I want the shift to be part of that conversation. I want the shift to be one of those that people look at and say, yeah, that was another one that really did something different, but did it at a high level, and made a difference and inspired people.
If The
I would
Chosen,
love that.
if the Chosen ends up kind of being the period at the end of the sentence of this get used to different, think outside the box, new thing. You actually use the term new thing, which is one of our kind of themes of The Chosen, that Bible verse from Isaiah 43, which is, "Behold, I am doing a new thing."
Right.
If it just begins and ends with The Chosen, that's a fail, because The Chosen's only going to be 7 seasons, and from now until Jesus comes, we've got to have more projects to fill the gap. and even between seasons. I mean, we hear from people all the time saying, I can't wait for season 2, or I can't wait for season 3, or right now, I can't wait for episode 4. Well, imagine if it got to the point where when season 2 of The Chosen was done, you didn't have to wait a year to watch another God inspired or uh, high quality, impactful project.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, there's stuff on Netflix that's great. There's stuff on Disney Plus that's great. There's stuff on the networks that's great. I do
Sure.
not. This is not a culture war.
Right.
I have a subscription to Netflix. I have a subscription to Disney Plus. All those, but it's unarguable that sometimes when you go to those places, you are dipping your toes into dangerous waters, especially as a parent. You can't rely on. You know that they don't have the same values that you do. That's okay. They don't have to, but it's dangerous waters. Whereas with Angel Studios and with these other projects like The Shift and Tuttle Twins and whatnot, if you can get multiple projects where you know that the same filmmaker behind The Chosen also likes their project, or endorses or has contributed to this other project, and you know that these are all kind of coming from the same world, it just gives you that much more trust. And that way, in between seasons of The Chosen, or when The Chosen is done, you don't have to go, oh, I guess I need to go back to another platform to where I was before The Chosen existed to get my content. Now I have to search through and be really discerning. But to have a place where you can go, okay, a place like Angel Studios, a place where projects like The Shift can get made that wouldn't get made at those other platforms, is
Right.
a place where I can go and feel good about, and that's vital. So that's why I remember when I read, well, I saw your short film, I saw The Shift a couple years ago, and I thought this is going to be a challenge, because it's a very nuanced story. It's going to be a challenge to it's not quite as kind of obvious as The Chosen is, where The Chosen was kind of like it's a Jesus show. You kind of have an
Right.
idea of where it's going to go, whereas The Shift is a little bit more nuanced. But I also thought this is an important project and needs backing, needs to be made. And then I remember reading a chapter of your book, that you released a couple, was it last year? I guess COVID has caused
It
my
was actually
timelines to
like
get us.
a year and a half ago, but yeah,
Oh
it was a
gosh,
while
yeah, it
ago.
feels, yeah. And I remember just going, oh my goodness, like you're even better than I thought you were. Like this guy is an extraordinary storyteller. And now that now that you've released your script to the public to read if they so choose, it's even, it's like there's even more urgency. Like I remember, it's like, wow, this guy has to be given a platform, and so that's where we're at now, and I'm just really hopeful that, like I said, that The Chosen becomes a comma in the middle of a long sentence that includes The Shift and that includes some of these other projects. But right now, I'm hopeful. First of all, congratulations, because I know you hit the 500,000 mark.
We actually hit
Um,
600 today.
nice. So the
Yeah.
rate is increasing. The speed is
Yeah,
increasing.
it is. Yeah,
And
we're way past our minimum.
yeah. So, but that's a minimum. That's not a, you still got a ways to go. So, um,
Yeah.
but the fact that it sounds like you're growing faster than you were a couple months ago, and so I hope people will
Oh my gosh,
get on
yes.
get in on this before the time is out. Because I remember when we were with The Chosen, um, when the short film The Shepherd came out, and the initial interest was huge, but that's all it was. It was interest. People were just saying, yes, I'm interested in investing. So we finally opened up investment, and in the first weekend, it just went significantly slower than Angel anticipated. I mean, they just because we'd had like $18 million worth of interest shown, but we'd lost momentum because it was like 6 months after that round had happened that we finally were able to open investment. And it took a while, and a couple months went past. It was going slow, and then all of a sudden, the tide turned, and we ended up having people who still to this day are upset that they didn't get a chance to invest because
Right.
they ran out of time and so many people came in at once. So it looks like you guys are on the verge of that happening, where you can kind of get past that point, that tipping point where people will start going, wait a minute, what's this? And I want to get in on it, and they can't. So hopefully
Yeah.
they'll get in as soon as possible and not take it for granted.
No, this is our second crowdfunding round, and so I know exactly what's going to happen on Friday. On Friday, I'm going to get all kinds of messages from people begging me to do something to let them in because they just missed it. And on Friday, I will have to tell them, I'm sorry, there is absolutely nothing I can do. This is
Right.
regulated by the SEC. There's no
Right.
extensions available to us. It cuts off midnight tomorrow night, and that's it. So and yeah, and there you guys have never you guys went back one time for us for a tiny round of additional raise, but that was like 2 years ago, and you haven't done it since then or a year ago.
No, but yeah,
Um,
that was yeah, it was about a year and a half ago, and we did it, but it was a whole brand new structure that we had to come up with
right,
because the people who had invested the first time around, there was a chunk of them who um, their credit cards didn't go through, or
right,
they didn't
and that
actually
always
follow through.
happens.
Yeah, or they didn't actually follow through on it, and then one of the states didn't end up approving the investment, so we had to give back like several $100,000 to people, um, and they were because their state didn't approve it. So we ended up, but it was a process, and then we opened it up and we didn't know how long it was going to take. It took 1 week to get $1 million,
Yeah, it
because
was
by that point,
nothing.
episodes, yeah, it came really fast. But people were still, we still every day if we hear from people
Yeah.
who are upset they missed out on that first round. So yeah, it hasn't come around, even though we thought we were going to do one last year. We just didn't, we didn't need it, and we're not going to bring on new investors and dilute the original ones. Because if you're one of the original investors, you
Which I
have,
am.
yeah, well, whether it's in the Chosen or in the Shift, and I'm an investor in the Shift. But if you, at least I think I am. I better make sure I do that as soon as I
I
hang
don't
up with
think
you.
you
I'm
are.
going to do it. I did not officially invest.
I don't think
Oh,
so.
I invested
But
in Angel
you've
Studio.
invested in other ways, so you're forgiven.
No,
It's
but
all
I
right.
did invest in Angel Studios. But I that's funny. I've helped you on. I don't think I've actually gone around and done it myself. So I'm going to do it as soon as I hang up because I don't want to miss out. But um, when what was I going to say? Oh, when are an original investor, whether it's in the Chosen or in the Shift or whatever, you have your ownership shares are that much more valuable than anyone who comes on later, if it ever is opened up again. And Angel Studios feels passionately about this. I feel passionately about this, but we deeply protect those original investors, so that we've had offers from people who've come in and said, we believe we can raise you $10 million like in the next couple of months, or $20 million, or someone has come in and actually and said, I'm willing to invest $1 million right now, and we've said no, because we don't want to dilute the original 19,000 people who invested in our movie, our show, unless we desperately need the money, and we don't currently. So we
Right.
just don't want to. We don't want to do that unless it's important. And so yeah, time matters. And so I would encourage you, if you're watching right now and you're like, I'll see what happens. Like, you're if there's something stirring in your heart, if there's something that's saying, I don't normally do this, but I really like this guy, or I really like this project, do it now. Like turn me off, turn Brock off, or keep us on while you go do it. And then commit to, like, just take a chance and do something like maybe 25% more than you were planning on doing. Because when you look back on it a couple months from now, you're not going to miss that 25% more money. But you're going to be happy that you invested in something that's this important, and that's going to end up generating, I believe it's going to end up generating income. So that's what's happening with The Chosen in a significant way. And but I think more importantly, it's an investment in something that's going to impact people's lives. So
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. There are some people who have some concerns, and we've been hearing them a lot. You mentioned that the shift is a little bit more nuanced than the chosen, which is based on the Bible, and people are familiar with that. So there's kind of this way in, and when people watch the shift for the first time, there's no way in. They experience it, and they don't really know what's coming at them. Part of the nuance that's happening there is we're very much operating kind of within the realm of allegory. A lot of it is very much intended as allegory for kind of just our experience here on Earth. We're doing it through the lens of science fiction, which is different. That's new. That's different, and it's not something that people have seen a whole lot before. And there have been some concerns about mixing science fiction with faith, which is definitely what we're doing. And I'm just wondering, because you watched the shift, and from the get go, you loved it. You never raised any concerns with me about any of this. And I want to be clear that we're talking about a minority of people, but there's been enough that I want to address it just very quickly. What is your take on that, about what we're doing with the shift, kind of this new thing, and kind of mixing two things that don't generally mix. Is that something that makes sense to you?
Yeah, well, and unfortunately, this is going to have to be one of the last questions that I answer because I have a very important conference call that I have to get to after this. Because as you mentioned
Totally got
early
it.
on, I am in the middle of working on season 2 of The Chosen,
Yes.
and I've got to get that done. But um, I would ask a question to people who are concerned about mixing faith with science fiction. Is I would kind of say, what shouldn't be mixed with faith? Like, to me, uh,
Mm.
whether it's art or real life, um, I would argue that faith is a vital part, faith in God and the God of the universe is a vital part of anything that we address or watch. And when you read Chronicles of Narnia or Lord of the Rings or um, any metaphoric or allegorical artistic enterprise, whether it's a book or a movie. I mean, my dad wrote the Left Behind books, which were um,
Right.
for sure mixing faith with, I don't know if you want to call it science fiction, but a modern day telling of the book of Revelation or the prophecies of the Revelation coming true in modern day involved a lot of what would traditionally be considered science fiction because obviously they're supernatural. And science fiction um, delves into the supernatural. And in many ways, science fiction and there's a handful of genres that sometimes we think shouldn't be associated with faith, but that actually are extraordinarily faith friendly because they accept the supernatural or the otherworldly
Hmm.
as real. And most people don't accept faith. And they don't accept the supernatural as real. Some people think that they do, but they really don't. And I think that whenever you watch a piece of art or read a piece of art, that by definition is accepting of the otherworldly, that really allows you to explore faith and explore the truth of Scripture in a way that can't be explored in other areas. Because think about like when you do a modern day movie, like a faith based movie, the only way that you're going to cinematically portray something supernatural is through like a miracle, like a
Hmm.
healing, or that's why a lot of faith-based movies these days, in the last few years, that were successful were like about miracles. But miracles don't always happen. I mean, at least physical miracles. I mean, obviously every day is a miracle, but you know what I mean? Like
Right.
someone being brought back to life or whatever. That's some people in a normal movie or a normal show, meaning like just kind of a real world show, have a hard time accepting something that happens supernatural. It just feels like it's out of place. Whereas with science fiction um, or allegory, you kind of just settle in and accept it. So in Lord of the Rings or Chronicles of Narnia, which were both written by passionate Christians who were telling um, very biblically based stories, just using metaphor and allegory and the supernatural in a way to cover it. Um, the viewer doesn't sit there going, I don't buy any of this. Like
Right.
they're by definition open to that, like their heart and their mind is open to the otherworldly. And when your heart and mind just kind of are open to that artistically, then you can really get in some truth bombs that they don't see coming. And that's what's so great about the Shift script. That's what's so great about your short film is yeah, it's nuanced. Yeah, it's allegorical. Yeah, it's not like The Chosen where it's just you're watching Jesus walk around on earth and everything is real. So yeah, it is a little different. And maybe it's for
Hmm.
some people it's just harder to kind of wrap their mind around. I get that.
Right.
But my goodness, when you get to the truth bomb, it's that much more interesting because your brain and your heart have gone down these roads and opened up these and kind of opened up these pathways. And I don't mean that in a new age way. I just mean that in a literal way where you're
Hmm.
like you really get to see things that you weren't open to before.
Hmm.
And that's what opens you up to Jesus. That's what opens you up to the God of the universe. And I would say that so many people, when it came to Chronicles of Narnia, understood the Christ story, and that's why C.S. Lewis chose to do it that way. Is
Hmm.
it just that was the art form that children and adults were able to get it. Like the scales were removed from their eyes for the first time, going, "Huh, I never thought of it that way." And then the Bible opened up for them even more.
Right.
And that's what art can do, and that's what a project like The Shift can do.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And I think you're exactly right. I think the power of allegory, the power of story is to teach us truths in a different way that opens up our minds to just how much truth is actually there, or we see things maybe that we didn't see before. I've heard from a lot of
Right.
people who watch the short, they get done with it and they say, oh my gosh, I see now what the attacks are. I
Right.
see what I'm battling every day. I haven't ever been able to put it into words, but you have put on screen what I'm going through.
Right.
And they were able to do that, and recognizing it's science fiction, recognizing it's a fictional story, but they see those truths that you're talking about, and
Yeah,
it
and
helps them.
when you see it, as opposed to, because so many supernatural things you don't see. But there was a very
Hmm.
famous book back in the '80s called "This Present Darkness." It was huge in evangelical circles, and I mean, huge. It was bigger. It was Left Behind before Left Behind came out. It was really huge, and it was told. It was these stories told from the perspectives, in many ways, of demons, and you like it really visualized what demons did, and so in many ways, again, it didn't feel like science fiction in the purest sense um, because again, we believe that demons are real, but
Hmm.
it was showing you things that you never see. And I mean, so many people's lives were impacted and changed by it spiritually because of it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm a huge believer um, in using parable, and that's what
Hmm.
Jesus did. I mean, that's how Jesus opened
Right.
up things so many often, as he told parables. And parables are in many ways, again, I don't often use the term science fiction, but they're fiction for the
Right.
most part, used to illustrate a truth, and that's where people always have those aha moments,
Hmm.
and those aha moments can come tremendously from allegory.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know you've got to go. I really appreciate you coming on with us tonight. You can speak about this in a way and from a point of view that is rare. You've been through the ringer. You've done this crowdfunding thing. There's very few people who know how big of a lift this really is. And here's two of them
Well,
on screen right now. Um,
well, yeah. Well, thank you for that. I do have to run, and I apologize again for. I know the sun kind of went down while I was talking, similar to our
you're in a
opening shot of episode 3 of season 2. But yeah, I had to take my daughter to dance, and but I still wanted to really talk to you about this. And again, if you're watching right now, I'm just telling you, no one's paid me to say this. I don't. I haven't gotten paid a dime to help out the shift, and but I really really strongly believe in this project, and I know it's different from The Chosen, but if you are a fan of The Chosen, it's going to make sense financially, spiritually, and also artistically to see more projects like this get made, because we there has to be room in popular culture for storytellers who have something to say about um, this world that God inhabits, that God created, that stories that aren't because 98% of stories that you see in the world right now are not inhabited by a God. They're worlds that are created that where God is absent, and truth is absent. And The Shift is a project in which truth is dominant and God is present, and we desperately need that. And so I really hope
yeah,
it gets done. And I'm gonna like tonight. I'm gonna go invest right now because I don't want to miss out.
awesome. Thank you so much, Dallas. Really
All right, brother.
appreciate it.
We'll talk again soon.
Yep, sounds good. Talk to
All
you
right. Bye
later.
bye.
Bye. All right, that was Dallas. So grateful for him and for the ministry that he is doing with the Chosen, and extending that to what we're doing here with the Shift. We're both entertainers. That's really what we're trying to do. I mean, not in the like song and dance, Bob Hope get on the stage type thing, but in the sense of trying to create something that entertains people. But I also know that that is an important priority in order to get people to watch. But ultimately, I want to create things that are going to make a difference, that are going to make an impact, and ultimately, where my faith is the same place where Dallas's faith is, which is it's in my Savior. And anything I do, I hope that I can promote belief and faith in a Savior who is very real and is very much waiting for us to call upon Him. That's what the shift is really all about. Um, Dallas had to cut out a little early. I didn't get a chance to get any get to any questions for him. I apologize for that. I know a couple of you had asked some questions that you wanted to get directed at Dallas. I had, I think, half my questions I didn't even get to, so I apologize for that. Also, I have missed the investments have just been streaming in, and I got so caught up in talking to Dallas that I forgot to shout some out. Maybe the moderator can send me some of the most recent investments. I got a few up here that I can see on my screen. Um, let's see, we got Roper from Texas invested $105. Thank you, Roper. I think that's Roper from our video. There's not too many people named Roper, so I'm assuming that's the same Roper who read the script and who called me, said I was made of magic, which um, that's one of my favorite things anybody's ever said about me. Lori from Iowa invested $501. Susan from California partnered with us for $102. Let's see, Penny from Florida partnered with us for $501. It looks like Lori from Iowa came back again with another $501. I don't know if that's right, but that's pretty amazing. Sorry, you're seeing it scroll on my screen because I'm scrolling it up on this screen. Deborah from New York, 501. Matthew from California, 123. Steve from Arkansas, $252. Peggy from Texas, $102. Julianne from Florida, $102. Charles from Texas is our most recent investor at $120, which is amazing. It's incredible to see what's happening. We are in the last, we have just over 24 hours to go before this whole thing is over. And we will no longer be able to accept any investment. You just heard from Dallas Jenkins. He put it way better than I could, why it is important to support this project. We are not taking away from The Chosen. We are feeding into what The Chosen is doing, and The Chosen is feeding into us. We're getting an incredible ecosystem of creativity and creators via Angel Studios. There is a movement happening. There is something happening that is different from what was happening just a few years ago. And this is your chance to be a part of it. If you missed out on The Chosen, I invite you to come and join us with The Shift. The opportunity is going to fly by you tomorrow. It's going to be gone. There's nothing I can do about it. And so if you want to join us, like Dallas, who's going to be investing with us tonight, join him, join me. Let's make this movie happen. Some other investments I missed. We got John from Arizona partnered with us tonight during this live stream for $501. Bob from North Carolina for $120. Jason from Utah for $300. Rhonda from Pennsylvania for $102, and Rose from New York for $102. Incredible. If I missed your name, if you did it earlier and I missed it, I do apologize. Your name did come up on the screen, but I missed a chance to say it. We're so grateful for each and every one of you. I have a little bit of time. If anybody has any questions for me, I'm going to scroll through here to see what my moderator's been telling me. If there's any questions here for me. It looks like a lot of questions for Dallas. Oh, here's one. Do we take donations through Venmo? Okay, first of all, this is not a donation. It is an investment. You're becoming a partner with us. You're actually receiving shares in the company that is making the shift, and that company's name is The Shift LLC. The only thing The Shift LLC is responsible for is making the shift. So you're actually purchasing as an investor shares in that company, and that means you get to share in the profits. We unfortunately cannot take anything through Venmo. The only way that we can receive investment is through credit card or through ACH. And if you go to angelstudios.com/the shift, and let's check in on that and see where our current investment total is at. If you go to angelstudios.com/the shift, you can see there is a button. I can't scroll, but it's right below this. There's a button that says back this project. You hit the button. Oh, no, it's right there on the screen. Back this project, that big orange rectangle. You hit that, or it's peach. I'm colorblind. I don't know. If you hit that button, you will be able to go through the process to invest. You can do it through credit card or through ACH. It really only takes a few minutes. It's very, very simple. Some things to look out for that you might be surprised about. You're going to be asked for your social security number. You're going to be asked for your birthday. Why do we want these things? The truth is we don't want these things. I do not want your social security number. I don't care. However, because we are regulated by the SEC and this is an investment, we've got to tie your investment to your identity. And the way that the federal government recognizes identity is social security number. So we want to make sure that we've got you locked up with this thing, and that's how we do it. And really, it's just the bank that's holding the money that is looking at that and processing that. It's very secure. It's not something we actually want or care about, but we have to get it in order to make this a true investment because this is not a donation. We are sitting at $606,289 in investment right now. That means we've completely blown past the 605,000 I was hoping for tonight. I wonder how much higher we can get. Let me see. We got another question here. Can we invest tomorrow also, or just tonight? Yes, you can invest tomorrow. The investment is open through midnight tomorrow evening, and I believe that that's midnight Pacific, which is my time zone, which is why it's still light out where I am and completely dark where Dallas is. He's in Texas, I believe. So I believe midnight tomorrow Pacific time is when this will be over, and you will no longer have the opportunity to invest in the shift. And no guarantee right now. I'm not thinking about going out again. For crowdfunding, I don't necessarily see that happening. So if you want to guarantee that you're part of the shift, that you're partnered with us and part of this new movement that's happening in cinema and in faith-based media, and what Angel Studios is doing, you have you have 30 hours. 30 hours and it's all over. Let's see. We got another question here. Brock, do you plan to do testing with earlier versions of the film to get audience reaction? Would you consider some of the fans or do local? So I'll be honest with you and I tell you, I'm not a huge fan of testing. I've been involved in feature films that were tested, and the testing, it showed some things and it promised some things about what the film could do, and it ended up not quite being accurate, the testing. I'm very particular, impartial to the idea of a person or a director's vision. And I think when you look at the most successful films, generally speaking, they're the ones where there was a real vision behind them and that vision was executed. Now, all that said, I think there is a lot of wisdom in showing your things, the things that you create to people and getting their opinions and finding out what is working and what is not working. So I imagine there will be some kind of testing that we'll be doing, just to make sure that the movie is working properly and the beats are there and things like that. What form that testing will take? Will it be with fans? Will it be with random people that were pulled off the street like is traditionally done with test screenings? I don't know. But you're asking a question that's pretty far ahead of where we are right now. So I'm guessing that at the very least I'll be taking it to my friends and the people I trust, especially those who are critical, and having them take a look at it and getting their feedback. That's certainly happening right now with the script. I've heard a lot of opinions and notes, and we put your script out there, everybody's got an opinion. So that's been an interesting thing to kind of wade through and go through. And some of the notes and opinions I've gotten have been very helpful, and I'm actually working on draft 10 of the script because of that. But as far as testing the feature film, I just don't quite know what that's going to look like. But of course, we'll make sure that the movie is working before we bring it out to audiences. Question: do you need actors? Yes, I need actors. I don't have any actors signed for this feature film yet. However, it is a little too early to be talking about specifics, people that we're actually considering, and about what the process might be for you if you want to act and be involved in this film. We're looking at doing a traditional casting process. We'll be utilizing the services of a casting director. We'll be calling for auditions for certain parts. Other parts will kind of be recruiting. But right now, I don't really know exactly what the casting process is going to look like. So do we need actors? Yes. How do you become one? I don't know yet. We're not there. Once we get our budget, then we're going to kick all that stuff into full gear. And when I say budget, I mean the full budget for the film. Loved the shift. Part two. Part two, is there going to be a shift part two? Has this person read the script, or I wonder how anybody would see a part two after reading that script. I can't imagine how there could be a part two. That said, the world of the shift, the mythology of the shift is certainly vast. I think you get a sense of that even with the short film. You get a sense of just how much story could actually be there and how much story you could actually tell. And certainly I'd be lying if I didn't say I don't have some ideas of other stories that we could tell within kind of the shift universe or multiverse, if you will. Um, but as far as Kevin's story goes, which is the chief, subject of the Shift feature film and the short film, I can't imagine Kevin's story extending beyond the feature film, to be honest with you. So I don't know that there's a Shift part two. Is there a Shift something else? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't really know. Now the question here, you mentioned that you might have the possibility of having big names do the Shift. Does that mean marketing on a movie theater scale? So that is our kind of our stretch goal right now, is that if we can reach a certain level of investment, and I just realized that I've been staring at this, been staring at the website for so long. If we can reach a certain level of investment, which is about $1.5 million, then we can start going out to these big name actors. And the whole point of going out to name actors, and look, I'm not just going to choose anybody just because they're a name. They got to be able to act, right? They've got to be good at what they do. Um, but the whole point of recruiting people who have a name and a face that you would recognize is so that, yes, so that the film can be marketable. Because look, if you're honest with yourself and you really think about it, when it comes to the films that you're going to go see, generally speaking, you're talking about films in which you recognize somebody in the cast. It makes a difference. I know that when I see a film, unless it's like a horror film, for some reason they seem to get a pass when it comes to this. Generally speaking, when you see a film that doesn't have anybody who you recognize in it, the first thought I have, and I think the first thought a lot of people have, is oh, well, that must not be a very good film because they weren't able to attract, actors that I recognize who are really good. Fair or not, that is the thought process. Fair or not, names sell tickets, and we want to make a profit for our investors. I'm especially interested in you making a profit because I don't get any profits until you get all of your profits, or rather, you get a return on your investment equal to 120% of whatever you invested. So, this film being profitable is extremely important, and I want to give it the best possible chance at the marketplace. And I'm talking about all marketplaces. I'm talking about theaters. I'm talking about theaters here in America. I'm talking about theaters out there in Europe and worldwide. I want the Shift to have the best chance on a streaming platform. We're definitely looking at, vidangel.com, looking at it being there, just like the short film is right now. We're all looking at other places too, and VOD as well. And if it ends up in Walmart as a Blu-ray, I want people to look at that Blu-ray and maybe they're not familiar with it, but I recognize that actor. I'm going to check that out. That's what name actors get for you. They get that interest. They get that extra level of people saying, "This is a movie I got to check out," and it's an extra level for distributors or buyers to say, "Okay, this is a film that I know can have this potential in the marketplace because it has these people in it, regardless of what the film, rather in addition to what the film is about and the genre that it's playing in. All of these are factors into whether or not a film has a chance to be successful." So we want the Shift to be successful, so we're looking at actors like that. And so yes, movie theaters, absolutely. How do you feel about fan fiction set in your multiverse? It's a good question. I don't think I've ever read any fan fiction that's set in the Shift multiverse. I think that would be extremely flattering, and I think that would be a lot of fun to read. I'm missing some more investments here. We got Alan from Florida who invested $252. We got Joe from Florida who invested $300. Way to represent Florida. Thank you for showing up tonight. We also got Lori from Illinois that I missed for $250. Thank you all for supporting this film and being enthusiastic enough that you would actually put money into it. That is not a small thing for me. Some of the backstory on the Shift. The Shift feature film, for those of you that aren't aware, yes, it was made for $500. The reason it was made for $500 is because that was literally all I could afford. It was made at a time in which I just didn't have a whole lot of money. I had recently lost my job, and my wife had as well. We've been out of work for over a year. I guess not that recently. It was a long time, and I had been working in the film community and making no money, and I just got it into my head that I need to make a short film. I feel like this is something I need to do, and I have a story I want to tell, not knowing what would happen with it, not knowing who would see it, but just knowing that there's something inside of me I got to get out. And I asked my friends, will you please come and do this with me? I will feed you. That's all I can offer you. And thankfully, they took that bait, which is what the $500 went towards. And here we are. Here we are with a film that that is now getting funding to turn into a full feature film, and over 1,400 people have committed their hard-earned money to make it happen. That is how this film started. It started with nothing. It started as nothing. It started with somebody who had nothing. Thankfully, just to put aside any fears you have, I'm fine financially speaking now, but back then it was really tough, and I think there's a real reason for that. When you're watching The Shift and you're watching the short film, and if you're reading the script, I think you're seeing that the whole thing is coming from a place of pain, and it's coming from a place of disadvantage. It's coming from a place of questioning and of confusion. It's coming from a place that we all get to at one point in our lives when we look to the heavens and we don't see anything. And we're not sure why we don't see anything, because he's always been there and now he's not. Or at least it doesn't seem like he is. And we're left to flounder for a while. That is what The Shift is about to me. And I think if you read the feature film script, I think you actually really, really get a sense of that. That is where this film is coming from. And and for anybody to want to pour into that with fan fiction, that would be amazing. That would be very flattering. Shout out to Donna from Florida, who invested $111. Donna, thank you so much for partnering with us. I'm not seeing any more questions come through here. I am guessing the investments are going to keep coming. Dallas, I'll tell you what, when Dallas was done, I was like, where is it? Let me invest. I'm pretty invested already, but he had me half ready to click that button, to click that back this project button. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for believing in this film. Those of you that have invested tonight, I thank you so much. Those of you that are about to invest, thank you so much. We have 30 hours to make this happen. We have 30 hours to get the word out and bring people in and get this film to a place where we can really get the rest of that money and just blow the doors off this thing, get that budget and make this film. This film, it's my own personal belief and is my deep and abiding faith that it will be made. I have such a sense of that, and I have had a sense of that since before any of you ever even heard of it, before Angel Studios ever heard of it, before Dallas heard of it. I got to a place where I just knew this is what needed to happen. I am more sure of that every day. And I am grateful to you for joining me. It is the fulfillment of a dream, but the fulfillment of what I have believed for a very long time is a promise. A promise made to me when I was on my knees and trying to figure out what I was supposed to do with my life. And I didn't know what the answer meant. Go work in film. I had never thought of doing that. But now I feel like I understand. I understand what happened that night. And having you all with me, I know that you understand it too. And I'm grateful to Dallas, and I'm grateful for the Angel Studios, and I'm grateful for everyone who has come on board. It means the world. And I think this film, I think it proves that this film is important, just as important as Dallas said that it is. Anyway, you got me all weepy. I want to go ahead and show you our pitch video. Let's end on that. I want to end just with, you're going to hear from me, you're going to hear from fans, you're going to hear from Dallas again, of why this film needs to be made, how we're going to do it, and what it's going to be. Before we show that, I just got a notification that it looks like the portal went down. Did you guys overwhelm this thing? I'm not sure. If it is down, please be patient. Please hit that refresh button. Wait for it. We're going to get it fixed. I promise. We got very good engineers, and they're going to fix it. And when I say portal, sorry, that's like insider language. The website, the investment website, seems to be might be broken right now. If that's the case, please be patient. We'll get it back up. It'll be fixed. Until then, and until tomorrow. Oh my gosh, I didn't even tell you about tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day, and you know we're not going to do the last day without another live stream. So tomorrow, won't you please join me for the final night. I'm going to be coming to you live at 6 p.m. Pacific for our final live stream. I'm going to have some special guests. I'm going to be telling stories, talking about the film. We'll probably watch the film together tomorrow night. But please join me. The most important thing, of course, we're going to be watching is the investments. The last night of one of these crowdfunding rounds is so exciting, and I want to share that excitement with you. I want to share that time with you. I hope you will come and join me 6 p.m. tomorrow night, live, the final night of the Shift crowdfunding round. It is time to get in. Thank you very much for joining me. Here is all about the Shift.
Hi, my name is Brock Heasley, and I'm the writer and director of The Shift, the short film I made because I had never seen a character in fiction face off with the devil in the way that I would as a Christian, which is simply to pray. Quiet faith in the face of great darkness and temptation. And now I'm ready to turn that short into a full-length feature film. Just like most believers, I've faced that kind of darkness, and I've desperately needed that kind of prayer. I'm thinking about the violent death of my father, and the years of struggle towards understanding my wife and I had with our daughter with special needs. And we're not alone. So many good people struggle with chronic illness and children who go astray and more and worse. And in those long moments, knowing that God is real and knowing He exists, and we wonder when He's going to help, when He's going to show His face again. That's what the feature film will be about, a man who has already seen God's hand in his life, and that's when his true trial of faith begins. I don't know a single believer who doesn't know exactly what that struggle is like. And by telling that story, we have a chance to not only entertain, but to encourage and bring hope to so many.
I cannot wait to see how God is going to speak and move in the hearts of both those who believe and those who don't yet.
That's what makes the shift so powerful.
The Shift short film is so powerful.
Very powerful message of positivity.
It is not an accident that this film is coming out now.
I truly believe that this is one of those feature films that will help usher in a whole new generation of faith-based cinema.
And that's why I feel the shift has to be made.
It has to be made.
And we've got the right team to do it. Not only do we have people who have been involved in successful Hollywood productions like A Quiet Place, Argo, World War Z, Pulp Fiction, and the upcoming Jungle Cruise, but we've also got Dallas Jenkins.
Hey there, I'm Dallas Jenkins. I'm the creator of The Chosen, and I wanted to share with you a little bit of why I have actually signed on to be one of the executive producers of The Shift. I remember when I first saw the short film, The Shift, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't know who this person is who made this, but I'm really impressed, and I wanted to see more. I wanted to see how it could be expanded upon. I wanted to see what Brock could do with an actual budget. And I think the message of The Shift and the future of The Shift is so important.
And we've also got the composers for The Chosen, Matthew S. Nelson and four-time Grammy winner Dan Hasseltine. The story is not exactly the kind of movie Hollywood is used to putting out. That's where you come in. Together, you and I, we can turn this short film into a feature film and reach so many more people. In a previous crowdfunding round, we raised over $150,000. That brought us to the attention of not only private investors, but also to successful independent film producers who have now come on board because they see a potential crossover movie that can do well not only in the faith-based space, but also with general audiences, both domestically and internationally. With a bigger budget goal, we can make a movie that matches the quality of the story we're telling and approach known actors who will give us an even better chance in the marketplace.
My name is Erin Heasley, and I played the role of Molly in the Shift short film. I can't wait to find out who replaces me. Is it Jennifer Garner? Can it be Jennifer Garner? Jennifer, call me.
We're partnering with Angel Studios, the same studio that brought you The Chosen, Dry Bar Comedy, and so many more, to invite you to join us in making this important film a reality. I'm ready to follow Kevin out the door. I want to see what happens to him after he's had this incredible journey of faith, and he knows it's not going to get any easier. It's actually going to get harder. This is the chance to tell the story of a modern-day Job, a person who already had faith and was then seemingly abandoned by God and severely tested. Kevin, like Job and like all of us, will have to make the choice every day to still believe, despite all evidence and hardship to the contrary, to find the light that cuts through the darkness. That's the story we can tell together, and it's the story people need, especially right now.
I can't wait to see how impactful and powerful it's going to be up on the big screen.
I really believe in the message and the power that lies in this film.
And I just can't wait to see what happens.
And now, for a limited time, and because we value you as a potential partner, we're offering you the chance to read the entire script for the Shift feature film. That's right, you can find out right now what happens to Kevin after he walks out that door. Read the script, join us, and invest in The Shift today at angelstudios.com/theshift.
And I just realized I was muted that whole time. What I was saying is, don't give up on us. Don't give up on the Shift. Don't give up on investment. The site will get fixed. It will happen. I promise. My goodness, have I ever done my quota for mutes for this evening. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m.